NNN Stock, another interesting REIT that presented pretty solid earnings not too long ago. However, the stock isn't really going anywhere in the last 12 months. But people love NNN stock because of multiple reasons, one of the main thing being the dividend. And I understand why, with dividend yield at almost 5.3% and of course the 33 consecutive years of dividend increases. If we look at the past 5 years, we see that NNN underperforms the S&P 500 big time. And keep in mind, this is including dividends. So could this be the perfect time to buy NNN stock? Well, by the end of the video I will give you my 3 price targets, so make sure to stay tuned and see how I build up to these price targets. I'm very excited to see what you guys think about this stock, so please let me know your thoughts in the comments. My name is Thomas and this is Thomas Invest. I'm an investor looking for great stocks at great prices. So what does NNN do? NNN is a real estate investment trust that invests in and develops properties throughout the United States. The company generates revenue from leasing properties to tenants, including convenience stores, automotive services, fitness centers, theaters, restaurants and banks. In here we see already a few of the 2023 highlights, where dividend yield ended at 5.2% and with an occupancy rate of 99.5%. This looks really good to me. Dividend payout was at 68%, also looking really good to me. NNN has a diversified portfolio with more than 3,500 properties and 390 tenants. The geo breakdown also looks pretty good to me. In here we see the acquisition volume. NNN is growing quite consistently and the acquisitions really contribute to that. The WALT, short for weighted average lease term, is at an average of 10 years, looking really good to me as well. And NNN is known for the consistent dividend growth, 34 consecutive years. Revenue was reported at 216 million, up from 198 million year over year, looking pretty good to me. Both the earnings and FFO are growing pretty consistently as well, and the FFO per share is also looking pretty decent to me. However, the growth is lower versus the FFO. If we look at the top 20 tenants, we see that the biggest tenant represents 4.4% of the total revenue. To me, this looks really good. I prefer 10% or lower. Looking at the industries, we see that convenience stores is the biggest with 16.5%. To me, this is a little too high. I would love to see 10% or lower here. And now that we know more about the company, it is time to check the fundamentals of this stock. But first, if you made it this far into the video, I want to thank you a lot for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to receive multiple analysis every week. And also join my Discord channel for free to meet other people within the community and to talk about stocks. It's completely free, so don't miss it out. Let's continue by diving into the fundamentals. NNN is a 7.75 billion market cap company. PE ratio is not a fair metric to use with REITs, so I'll be using the price to FFO instead. Right now it is sitting at almost 13, indicating they might be undervalued. Later in this video I will show you my 3 price targets for NNN stock, so make sure to watch until the end, because price to FFO is only telling a small part of the full story here. Revenue is at 828 million, and in this graph we see that revenue went up in the long run. It has to be said that for REIT it is growing really steady and consistent. We see that margins are going up over a longer period of time, which is looking really good to me. Especially the net margin is looking really good. EPS is showing similar trends as the margin and revenue. For a REIT it looks pretty good. Analysts have mixed feelings about the EPS growth. It doesn't look too exciting to me, to be honest. For the revenue it is also looking very interesting, with mid-single digit growth expectations for the upcoming 2 years. But after that it is expected to be flat from there. Return on assets is sitting at 4.6%, which is a decent number for a REIT. Return on equity is looking pretty good, And the most important number, return on invested capital, is sitting at 4%, which is a low number, even for a REIT. It is higher than the 5-year average, so that is the positive part here. Current ratio is at 1.26, which is a decent number for a REIT. Nothing really special to mention here. Right now, NNN has 4.3 billion in debt, and I prefer companies that can pay down at least a big chunk of their total debt with the total cash. NNN has 1 million in total cash, so they can't pay down a big chunk of their total debt. This is something that I don't like. So it's very important that free cash flow is growing, since this is used to pay down debt of course, but also to buy back shares, pay dividends and all other things. And here we see that free cash flow is going up in the long run, which is a great thing. Shares outstanding are increasing, which is very common for a REIT, since they increase shares to raise capital. But when shares outstanding are decreasing, it increases your ownership in the company, increases the EPS, lowers the PE ratio, and makes it easier to maintain and increase the dividends. And since we're talking about dividends anyways, dividend yield is sitting at almost 5.3%, which is a great number. Annual payout is at $2.26 and payout ratio is around 69%, which is below the 75% average for REITs. The 5-year growth rate is at 2.6%, which is a low number, but they increased the dividends for 33 years in a row, which is really impressive. And here we see the dividends paid since 2012. And to me, this looks really good. NNN really likes to increase the dividend at a low rate, but over a longer period of time, this really adds up. In this graph, we see the expected dividends in 2024, 2025 and 2026. Of course, this is an estimation and can be highly impacted by results, but it gives you a rough indication. It is expected to grow at a historical rate from here. And overall, these dividends look pretty good to me, but how about the historical returns? I decided to compare NNN stock with the overall market, in this case the S&P 500. Next to that I added ADC and realty income. On the 5-year chart we see that NNN only returned -2%, and this is including dividends. The S&P 500 did return 103%, massively outperforming all stocks in this list. On the 1-year chart it looks pretty interesting, with the S&P 500 again beating all stocks in this list. The 3 REITs are all having significant lower returns. Only NNN managed to get a positive return here. On the 6-month chart it is NNN that is beating all stocks in this list, and also the S&P 500, which is pretty interesting of course. On the 1-month chart it is again NNN that is beating everyone in this list, looking really good. So bottom line, the S&P 500 was by far the better investment in the past 5 years. But most recently, NNN is getting some momentum. So could this be the perfect time to buy NNN stock? Well, let's check the 3 price targets that I created using the Everything Money software, which is one of the best tools out there. I'm using a low, mid and high assumption to get the 3 price targets. For the revenue growth I'm filling in 5, 6 and 7%, based on historical performance, their own outlook, but also because of the analysis. For the profit margin I'm filling in 46, 48 and 50%. And for the free cash flow margin I'm putting in 72, 74 and 76. For the PE ratio I'm putting in 20 since it is a REIT, and for the price to free cash flow I'm putting in 10, 12 and 14. My desired annual return is 12.5%, since I can get an easy 10% average annual return with owning an ETF. Right now, NNN stock is around $42. I hit analyze, and we see a few green numbers. And since this is a REIT, I'm only focusing on the discounted cash flow value. We have a low price target of $37, we have a mid price target of $45, and we have a high price target of $53. To me, the mid to high price target is the most justified here, indicating that this stock is undervalued. Please let me know the price target that you think is the most justified in the comments down below. My final conclusion on NNN is that it is a very reliable REIT. They are performing really consistent on any aspect of the business. Most fundamentals look really good to me, and that is what I like so much about this company. However, looking at the 5-year returns, I don't really get excited. But it has to be said that it is getting some momentum lately. From a dividend point of view, things look really good, with a high dividend yield and a great historical track record. From a value point of view, things also look pretty interesting. I do think they are undervalued, which is also the reason why I put them on my watch list. I'm not buying right now since my REIT positions is getting too big and I want to expand in other areas first. And remember to always do your own research and never fully trust on what I or other YouTubers say about the stock. I'm not a financial advisor and this content is just for entertaining purposes only. I hope you liked this video and I did bring some insights of the company to you. I would really appreciate a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to get notified when I'm posting a new video. Thanks for watching and I will see you in my next video.